Hello everyone, GL1 here, and welcome to my online toy museum. And today we're going to talk about some dinosaurs because once again, more dinosaurs have been released by Mattel in the world of Jurassic Park. And so I bought some new ones and I thought, what a good time to educate ourselves on some more dinosaurs. Now, when I was a kid, dinosaur books were very simple. This was one of my favorite dinosaur books, and I used to look at the pages over and over again. And, you know, back then, if you knew 10 dinosaurs, you pretty much thought you knew all the dinosaurs. The dinosaurs back then that people knew about were Tyrannosaurus rex, Triceratops, Stegosaurus, the duck-billed dinosaur, which really is not, the scientific name, Brontosaurus, which later got its name changed to Apatosaurus, and then they figured out, well, actually, there is a difference between what we thought was an Apatosaurus and some other bones, so we're going to have an Apatosaurus and a Brontosaurus. And then there was Brachiosaurus, which was at the time the largest, heaviest known, land creature ever. Of course, now there's even, supersauruses that are larger. Dreadnoughtus for one. And then there was Allosaurus and Diplodocus. And then there was always the dinosaur that looked kind of like a ostrich, right? That really nobody knew the name of. And then there was a dinosaur that looked like a Triceratops but only had one horn and a bunch of horns on its frills. And actually that is Styracosaurus. And any of the like Plateosaurs or things like that, that look sort of like an ostrich, or Coeliophas, or just things like that. But anyway, so, when you opened up a book back then, like they would have, basically the dinosaurs that, everybody knew. But of course, things have changed, and largely because of movies like Jurassic Park. So, Ankylosaurus, this is the first Ankylosaurus toy that came out, and we don't really know what noise they would make, but you'd push this down, the batteries are dying, and it would, make a couple of different roars, and it would also swing its tail. Now, Ankylosaurus was around all the way until the end of the dinosaurs 66 million years ago, and it is the largest ankylosaurid. Okay, so there is a group of dinosaurs that are all kind of like Ankylosaurus, and they're ankylosaurids. And Ankylosaurus could be anywhere between 20 to 26 feet long and 10 to 16,000 pounds. So as big as a female African elephant, maybe a little bigger, and all the way to a little larger than most large African male elephants in terms of its weight. So 16,000 pounds, to give you an idea of how heavy that is. Now, if you go to the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C., there is a stuffed a stuffed elephant, bull male elephant there that was 24,000 pounds, which is about 4,000 to 6,000 pounds heavier than a T-Rex. Just to give you a reference on that. It's gigantic. But that's extremely, it's the only one ever found that big, so they're usually around 15,000 pounds when they're big. So Ankylosaurus's friends, so to speak, that hung around at the same time were Triceratops and T-Rex, and I don't think Triceratops and Ankylosaurids really tussled or anything. Maybe they left each other alone when they came into the same territory. But certainly a T-Rex would probably be a problem for an Ankylosaurus. And this is the Hammond collection Ankylosaurus. And you could see you can actually open the mouth, whereas in the simplified version you can't. And you have more articulation, you have elbows, and you have ankles that can move around, and better hip movement, and more tail movement. And you don't have a gimmick where you push a button and it makes a noise or swings the tail, but it's more posable. So you can get, more expressions out of it. And you can see also it is larger. So that's another benefit to getting the Hammond collection. Both of them have like soft spikes on the side so you don't get hurt. Well, so that is Ankylosaurus. Now, another ankylosaurid is Borealopelta. And I've saved this. I've been hanging on to this for a couple of weeks before I do the show and can't wait to open it. So there we go. And I think it looks a little like an aardvark in the head. See that? Or a armadillo. So Borealopelta now is significantly smaller than Ankylosaurus, which is the largest one. This was around longer, so twice as long ago as Ankylosaurus. And that's not always true that they got larger as time went on, but a lot of times it is true within a certain genre of a dinosaur. So like a Tyrannosaurid, they were smaller in the past, and then they got bigger and bigger and bigger till you got Tyrannosaurus rex at the end of the Cretaceous. So that's generally true when it comes to a particular kind of dinosaur. As time went on, they got bigger. But there were, in terms of what are the largest dinosaurs, there were larger dinosaurs, further back, or just gigantic dinosaurs that were larger than Brachiosaurus, and Brachiosaurus was one of the last dinosaurs. So this dinosaur was named in 2017. All right, so really wasn't discovered until pretty late. Ankylosaurus was named in 1908. So about almost 120 years ago, they knew about Ankylosaurus, and that's why, growing up, this was one of the common dinosaurs we knew about. And the reason why I decided to do Ankylosaurs, and I'm going to talk about Stegosaurs today, is because there's a similarity, even though they're not related. There is a similarity to some of the spike and armor strategies that these dinosaurs used, which can be thought of as a convergent evolution, dinosaurs that have similar pressure on them to develop, and that pressure would be, in this case, predators that bite at your neck or bite at your back. So to have armor and spikes will help prevent that, obviously. So this dinosaur, Borealopelta, was found in Alberta, Canada, and it's one of the best preserved dinosaurs ever found. There was stomach contents, skin, and they could even tell through some of the chemicals left over that the skin was reddish. It was 18 feet long and only 2,600 pounds. So the length, an ankylosaur could be as little as 20, maybe 26 feet long. So not always a huge difference in size, but the weight, the size of the animal is much bigger. So Borealopelta was the size of a water buffalo or a wild yak. And if you don't know what a wild yak is and what it looks like, and I didn't, look up wild yak. Wow, is that a scary looking, impressive, cool looking animal. So you definitely wouldn't want that thing angry at you. I had no idea that they were so big. So, all right, so Borealopelta, and then we also have Sauropelta. And here, there's Sauropelta. And this was actually really hard to find when it first came out. The toy was difficult to find. And now not so hard, but you could still find it for a ridiculous price, overpriced, or you can find it for what it should be, somewhere around $8 to $12. But sometimes some people are still trying to sell it for like $40 or so. And I think I remember seeing it for even like $80. Like, I guess it was difficult to find. The action on this toy is you move the tail and he can, move his spikes around. And you can see the similarity, right, in the spike design. And so Sauropelta is around the same time, 125 to 100 million years ago. So these two would have overlapped in time, but they probably were not the same location because they would fill the same niche, ecological niche. So I didn't see where this was growing up, but it's the guys that this had to deal with is things like this. I think it actually was in South America. So this, a Dinosuchus, it would have to deal with, and get dragged underwater and drowned, and then maybe get the limbs and try not to get spiked in your mouth. Now this is a Sarcosuchus, but Dinosuchus, they look kind of pretty much all the same. They're just big, gigantic crocodile type of things. Now, Borealopelta was 19 feet long and 3,300 pounds. So bigger than, actually larger than this one, even though the toys aren't. But, it all just depends on, could be you could just pretend this is a younger version. And Borealopelta was the size of a black rhinoceros. So 3,300 pounds is about the size of a black rhinoceros, which is bigger than that wild yak, which is also huge. All right, so that's the Ankylosaurids as far as toys that I have. And then we're going to move over to Stegosaurus. So here's, everybody knows Stegosaurus, right? Stegosaurus has those 4 spikes on the back and the plates on the top. And, I've seen drawings where some people thought maybe the plates are flat, but maybe they're up, maybe they control temperature regulation as well as protect the dinosaur from attack. Now this toy activates, you push this fin and the tail swings, and then you push the other one and it's eating. So the thing when I was growing up that was always talked about with Stegosaurus was that it had a really tiny brain. Brain was the size of a walnut, and it probably wasn't very smart. Well, it actually has a brain, walnut size, is about the brain size of a dog. And dogs can be pretty smart. So the thing about Stegosaurus, is that its brain to body mass, yes, it had one of the smallest brains to body mass. And the mass of a Stegosaurus was 9,000 pounds, which is the size of a male Indian elephant. Now, Indian elephants are smaller than African elephants. And it could be 23 feet long. And you see Jurassic Park put out a juvenile toy as well. This came with one of the figures. I think actually it's one of the girls in, I can't remember her name, but in Jurassic World, she was rescue. She worked for the rescue team. So Stegosaurus was around in the Jurassic period, actually, because a lot of times in Jurassic Park, the dinosaurs are sometimes Triassic and usually Cretaceous. But the Jurassic is actually the middle time, so 155 million to 145 million years ago. So older than any of the Ankylosaurids that I talked about. All right, and it was named in 1877. So again, this has been known for, almost 150 years. So that's why growing up, it was one of the more popular dinosaurs because it had just been around so long. And the guys this dinosaur had to make friends with, or not, was Apatosaurus, which is, a giant sauropod, one of the long neck, heavy bone dinosaurs, and it would also be around Allosaurus, which would prey upon Stegosaurus probably, and Allosaurus is about half the size of a Tyrannosaurus and has the 3 fingers instead of the 2, and Diplodocus, which is one of the longest dinosaurs ever known. I think 110, 120 feet, but more of a slender build. And if you ever want to see an Apatosaurus skeleton next to a Diplodocus, if you go to Pittsburgh and go to the Carnegie Museum, they have the 2 right next to each other, and you can see, even though they're about the same size, you can see how much more delicately built the Diplodocus is. Its bones just being much smaller. So that's, all right, so that is our common Stegosaurus. Well, there's another new one, and here's a new toy. And this is, I'd never heard of this, but this is Gigantspinosaurus or Gigantspinosaurus. I'm not sure exactly which way. Maybe it's said both ways. But what's giant about it is not the dinosaur. It's the spikes. So it was named for its giant spikes, okay? And they're flexible on the toy. And, you can pull that up, and there's your identifier on there. Actually, so this Stegosaurus is one of the early Jurassic World toys, so it's on the foot, which doesn't work as well as far as scanning it. It definitely works better. It's a bigger thing to scan. But, you just, as far as a toy articulation, you can do the splits. And you can, let's see, how's that head move? The head has a spring in it. Oh, yeah, okay, so you move the tail, and the head's supposed to move, but it's probably more the other way around. You move the head, there you go, and then it can fight with its tail. That works much better. And look, notice it has 6 spikes on the back instead of 4. All right, so Gigantspinosaurus was found in China, and this is, again, a long time ago. This is 163 to 157 million years ago, so that's early Jurassic. And it is 14 feet long, 1,500 pounds, which is really the size of a large horse. And, again, you could see 1,500 pounds. Stegosaurus was 9,000 pounds, so much larger dinosaur. And the guys this one had to deal with is, it was contemporary, actually. Also in China was Ankylosaurus, which we're going to go over. All right, so these two were around the same time. And it would have to deal with a kind of raptor, which is Sinraptor. So S-I-N raptor. And S-I-N, I think it should have been called Sinoraptor, because often things that are from China are Sino, S-I-N-O. But it also would have to make friends with this fella here, which is Yingchuanosaurus, and I'm not sure that they would get along. But those spikes would certainly help protect it. But this is a much larger dinosaur, not quite as big as a T-Rex, but certainly very big and very powerful. 4 arms, 3 fingers, and might be able to really just kind of hold the dinosaur down and then take its time, taking off some legs. So definitely, I think that the Gigantospinosaurus would do well to hang around in groups. All right. So, as I said, Chialingosaurus, this fella here, and apparently they come in 2s, because what happens is, like Miss GL1 sometimes asks, do you sometimes buy the same Hot Wheels car because you forget which ones you have? The answer is yes, and sometimes I forget which dinosaurs I bought as well, especially if one's on clearance, and I'm like, oh, I don't think I have that, and it's really inexpensive. So, all right, so Chialingosaurus was described in 1959, all right, so this is goes all the way back to 182 million years ago, but was survived all the way until 66 million years ago. So 120 million years this dinosaur was around. That's astounding. So obviously a very successful dinosaur. 120 million years. Homo sapiens have only been around, just a couple hundred thousand years, probably at the most, depending on how you define us. You can define hominids going back maybe 3, 4, 5 million years ago at the longest. So 120 million years ago, it's much like crocodiles and great white and sharks. Not just great white sharks, but sharks. To be around so long. And this was about 13 feet long, and I couldn't find a weight on the dinosaur, but probably it was similar to Gigantspinosarus in weight because it was similar. It's only like a foot difference in length. And I think what's kind of neat to see how the spines are different, more, it has that kind of, an action of swinging side to side instead of being able to swing upward and do a spike. So maybe, that was a very more successful at protecting itself, or maybe they just were able to have more babies and stay out of trouble and hide better. So similar to Gigantspinosarus is Miragaia. And this was 4,400 pounds. So that's, about the size of an elephant seal. And if you don't know what that is, maybe a white rhino. So that's a larger rhino, larger than the black rhino. This would have to be a small example, like a juvenile of that, because if it were really going to be 4,400 pounds and this fella here is 1,500 pounds, then it should be a bigger toy than that, other than saying, well, maybe it's a juvenile. So Miragaia was 20 feet long. Okay, so also 6 feet longer than this guy. And it was also around the same time as Stegosaurus, so 155 to 145 million years ago. And this is a pretty cool toy. I really like this one. I mean, he's got all kinds of things going on, right? He's got, the spikes in the middle of the body. It's got the Stegosaurus kind of plates here, and then it's got the Stegosaurus spikes, and just more spikes and plates and then everything. So I think kind of a cool dinosaur. I like that it can open its mouth and it has a big mouth, and you even have kind of the muscles in the mouth that pull the jaw closed. I think this is just really a nice toy, a good addition to it. And last and also cool is the Kentrosaurus. So this is late Jurassic. All right, so this was 152 million years ago, and it was named in 1915. All right, so, over 100 years ago we knew about this dinosaur, and yet this one, nobody knew about this until Jurassic, World made a toy, right? I mean, nobody grew up going, oh, I want to play with Kentrosaurus. I mean, it was always Stegosaurus, but look at this guy. I mean, I don't know, it's all just opinion here, but who's cooler, huh? I mean, look at those spikes all here and spikes on the side. I mean, I loved Stegosaurus as a kid, but I definitely would like this guy a little bit better. And this was discovered in Africa, and obviously it's a close relative of Stegosaurus, and so it was around the same time. And it's about 3,500 pounds, so also the size of a black rhino and about 15 feet long. So these two should be the same size. All right, so I don't know, maybe they just running out of plastic. But anyhow, this is such a cool dinosaur. So, and its features, check this out. Now, this is one of those switch features. Instead of a button, so it's a two-stage button, okay? And, you can move his arms laterally, and his back legs go laterally, and the head is manual. I knew it'd be too much to ask for the mouth to open too, especially with all these fancy spikes and all the noise it makes, but just a cool dinosaur. And I wanted to show one last dinosaur that looks kind of like, is similar in body design. This is Ouranosaurus. Not that guy. This one here, Ouranosaurus. It's not related at all. 25 feet long, 4,500 pounds. Okay, so again, about the same weight as this dinosaur, and I think that you could see the two and relate to it. But I think it's got a similar body design. You have the long back legs, the short front legs. But you have really no weapons, right? It just has this crest here, possibly for body temperature regulation. Maybe it liked to swim, and this would help keep it, in line, its body in line when it was swimming, putting its legs back and sort of coasting. But this dinosaur really doesn't look like it has any kind of defenses. So these are the dinosaurs that I call foodosaurs, because I think really that's what they were around for. I mean, they would just probably have to run away from getting eaten all the time. And this has one of those buttons, and let's hear it. Three-stage button. And you can even move its head. So frightening sounds, and you can see that it has a large nasal capacity here, so perhaps, that's why they were assuming it would be able to make really loud vocalizations. But I thought, I wanted to show this because I thought it does have a similar body design to a stegosaur, but none of the armor, and it was, around 125 million years ago, which would put it in contact with some kind of tyrannosaurid or even allosaurids. So, that's why, probably a foodosaur. So, all right, well, that's the show for today, and I hope you enjoyed that and, got some learning about dinosaurs out of that, and you can run out and find yourself some of these dinosaurs and enjoy them. So thanks for watching, and take care. I'll talk to you soon.